Kamala Harris is not the candidate of change, nor is she the candidate of the future. Kamala Harris is the vice president of the United States right now, and she is wholly responsible for the failures over the past 4 years. President Trump has proven to be a leader who can bring stability back to this world, who can bring peace through this world, who can make America strong again, and that's why voters trust him on the issues that matter.
She was not appointed the border czar. She was appointed to deal with the Northern Triangle.
That's what Axios said there, CNN.
Google goes to trial against the U.S. in just a few weeks, presenting just another question because that's when the debate's going to be happening. That's when the trial kicks off. It's expected, though, to last many weeks.
Kamala Harris, the border czar, left the border so wide open that apparently Venezuelan gangs have now taken over parts of Colorado. It's Venezuela, Venerado. But it's from Fox 5. It says migrants have attempted to not only board school buses in East County, so kids are on the way to school, then become part of an immigration international trafficking operation. And in addition to this, they've also taken over some buildings. So there is Venezuelan gang activity that is out and about. And there was a mayor from Aurora who's explaining that they've actually taken over apartment complexes, going in with weapons to seize the property and then basically take over payments like it's their building now, happening in Aurora right outside of Denver. So we'll talk about all of it, but let's take a look at what happened with this school bus situation, because you see here migrants attempted to board school buses apparently on multiple occasions, saying that 2 school bus routes within the Jamul del Zora Union District were interrupted. Migrants attempted to board them over the last 2 days. The school sent out an email that Fox News picked up. The superintendent of the school said a group of migrants attempted to board the school's A and B bus routes. The first incident occurred along Route A on Tuesday afternoon. According to this person, a group of 3 men were walking in the middle of the highway trying to stop one of the buses, prompting it to go around the group. Okay, so you send your kid off to school. Oh, have a great day at school, honey. Don't forget to eat your lunch and, have a great day, tell your homework, Then it's commandeered. A Route B school bus then came upon a group of about 20 people on Wednesday morning as it was picking up students from the same stop. Parents present at the site helped the bus driver ensure the students were safe and that no one boarded the bus. Now, at this time, it's unclear whether the 2 groups are connected. No injuries to the students or anyone else was involved. Additional details about the incidents were not immediately available. Sheriff's Department's aware of this. They're conducting a follow-up. Was this a criminal act? Who knows? Now, Kimberly King was with the Sheriff's Department, says for the safety of our students and bus drivers that buses will drive past stops with migrants nearby heading directly to the next one on the route. Please stay vigilant. If the bus drives by, please follow the bus to pick up your child at the next stop. All right, so it sounds like they're going to be dodging illegal immigrants now. Do you hear what that is? Said for the safety of students and bus drivers, buses will drive past stops with migrants nearby. So they're going to be dodging illegal immigrants on the roads. So your kids are going to be like in a video game. Just go to the next one. We don't know what to do about this. Just don't pull over here. There's a bunch of illegals here. So please stay vigilant. If the bus drives by, follow the bus, because that bus stop, it's not your bus stop anymore. Okay, that's their bus stop. So we'll just see you at the next bus stop. That is not commandeered by illegals. This afternoon, the superintendent said the district directors of maintenance and operations followed the buses to ensure that everything was quiet in case they get commandeered by the illegal immigrants again. They attempt to board school buses. So that's just part 1. Now, similarly, what we're seeing is that there is gang activity and residents are now feeling like they're living in a third world country in Colorado. So here is one story, because there was a Fox News segment that we're going to watch here where members known as TDA have caused a complete gang takeover in parts of our city. Like, it's their city now. It's unreal, she said. Residents tell me they feel like they're living in a third world country. The city government attempted to temper some of these assertions. He noted that Aurora police are working with this. We think this is isolated, but let's listen to this insane interview. So this is from America Reports. The mayor of Aurora, his name is Mayor Mike, hopped on with Fox saying that apartment complexes have been taken over, and it's more than one, and that somebody has apparently sent these illegal, allegedly gang members into these locations. Where did they come from? The question remains unanswered.
Of Aurora, Colorado. Mayor, thank you very much for coming on with us. It seems it's tough to even get some confirmation of the details of what is going on there. First off, can you confirm whether or not this gang has taken over these buildings there in Aurora?
So there are several buildings actually under the same ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. I'm trying to walk it back and do the investigation as to how there's a concentration of Venezuelans in these 3 buildings. Somebody put them there and somebody funded it. it, whether it's federal government or not. We're trying to find out who these
Kamala
gangs
Harris
apparently are attracted to, where there's a concentration of Venezuelan migrants. And so they've in fact have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents.
It's their buildings.
We have now, or have had,
management.
It is ongoing operations with a task force, local law enforcement, state law enforcement partners, and federal law enforcement partners to root them out. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
With the arrests that have been made, are these confirmed gang-affiliated members?
Yeah, this is an organized criminal effort. Whether it's Tren de Aragua, that remains to be seen. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, if they're Venezuelan migrants and they're conducting crime in an organized manner, they're a problem.
Okay, so
Crazy.
You're able to confirm that this Venezuelan gang has indeed taken over at least some of the buildings. You're saying at least 2 of the 3. And what I just heard from you is you don't know how they ended up there. And you even made a suggestion that they could have been sent there by federal officials.
Kamala Harris.
I heard you suggest.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any reason to believe that to be the case?
So here's the problem. I think we're a victim of a failed policy at the southern border because what you have, Venezuela does not, according to my law enforcement, Venezuela does not cooperate with the United States in sharing criminal histories. You've had a third of the country leave. You've had these massive waves of migrants coming across the border that many of them crossed the border illegally, were arrested, asked for political asylum, were not adequately vetted, were released into the country. The city of Aurora, we did everything we could to, quite frankly, keep them out of the city because it's not our problem. This is a federal problem. This is a problem
it's all our
borne by
now.
the federal government.
Thank you, government.
But we're trying to find out, and what I believe occurred was that federal agencies worked with some of our local nonprofits and put them there. Most of these people are very good people. But there's a criminal element that, from what I understand, what law enforcement has briefed me, that often follows them and tends to exploit them within their own migrant community. And so we believe that that is happening. We're the 51st largest city in America with over 400,000 in population. This is only several apartment complexes.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm not going to surrender any part of this city to a criminal element.
With all due respect, it's no longer, just in the hands of the feds when we've heard reports that this gang has green-lighted its members to attack your local police. What are you doing about that, Mayor?
Well, we're aware of that in the Denver metropolitan area, that there are elements of Tren de Aragua here. And so, we're, in terms of how our police operate, the tactics, what they're doing to protect themselves, our number one priority.
I think about how Aurora tried to position themselves versus Denver, with Denver's the sanctuary city status in a way, correct?
Denver's historically been a sanctuary city.
Yeah.
Aurora has not. And that's why we took the position again that we were not going to expend any public dollars on this migrant crisis, nor would we be a conduit for state or federal dollars to provide assistance. Not our problem, federal problem, border issue. They need to resolve it, not us. But somehow we got sucked into this, and we are a victim again of this policy.
That's a big somehow, and I would expect that you're probably very personally trying to get down to the bottom of that. When we watch this video, we've had this video playing all day on our network. We started airing it obviously earlier today, and our viewers obviously see this and think complete shock that this would be
a home near you.
Apparently, have you confirmed that anything about the people on the screen, this building? Can you tell us anything about this video and what we're seeing?
Are they calling the cops? Are they reporting this?
Well, yeah, it's that intimidation factor. We've got, Venezuelan gang members who have gone into an apartment complex where there's a concentration of Venezuelans and pushed out the property management through intimidation, and now they're intimidating the tenants there to pay them rent and probably extort other things from them. And so it's a terrible situation. Certainly not the whole city. It's 3 apartment complexes, but it's very serious nonetheless. And so it's hard. What the challenge is, in part, that you have, this is unfortunately part of the fabric of Venezuela, where you have, the police in Venezuela are only there to protect the government. They're not there to protect the people. So there's so much criminality. And unfortunately, some of that has come up with the migrants here, and we're confronting it.
Yeah. Just a last question on that point, confronting it. I know you're a busy guy, and I know we'll let you get going because you've got a huge problem to tackle there in Aurora. Just finishing up with this Cookie Monster gang leader, so he's called. Okay. The New York Post has reported on him setting up operations right there in your town, Mayor. Cookie Monster is there. This guy's responsible for some heinous crimes. What are you actively doing right now to get a hold of him and arrest him?
He's been arrested. He's off the street.
That would be news. He's gone. He's off the street. Where is he?
Okay, there you go.
He's being held.
Okay, good. See, as I said, it would be insane if he was out. Yeah.
Apprehended.
Good.
I would imagine he'd be a huge source of information as to how this gang ended up in your town.
Glad they arrested him.
It's beyond that. It's how did this whole community end up in our town? Because I'm concerned beyond the gang issue, there's a secondary issue. And the secondary issue, desperate people do desperate things. And you've got all these migrants coming up. The Venezuelan migrants don't have access to, they have a legal status in the country pending their asylum claims, but they don't have access to a work permit for 6 months after they're here. Wow. So there are some secondary issues that we're real concerned about. But right now, the priority is this gang issue.
And the feds are involved, correct?
The feds are involved.
Got it.
Law enforcement is involved.
I understand.
And we've buildings seized by Venezuelan gangs. Absolutely nuts. Addressing this, Luby, who is Ryan Luby, he's a city spokesman. He says, we're aware that the Tren de Agua is operating in Aurora. APD has been increasingly collecting evidence to show how the gang is connected to crimes in the area. But I'm going to decline to make any conclusory statements about specific incidents or provide evidence about our strategy. Addressing the claims of gang takeovers, Luby told the Sentinel that individual council members are able to share their thoughts on any issue, but do not speak for the city as a whole. They too said that they're unaware of any Denver apartment buildings being commandeered by gang members. Said there are reasons to believe that members of this gang are tied to crimes in the area. However, Denver PD is not aware of any apartment buildings being, quote, taken over by this gang in Denver. With the influx of some 40,000 Venezuelan migrants, 40,000 people into Metro Denver, illegals, presumably, right? I'm guessing migrants is that term that they're using. In the last 2 years have come claims about gang activity in certain Aurora residents. 40,000 people just dropped into a city. Now, some, for example, allegedly exaggerated the level of violence and lawlessness at a meetup, and some others, without evidence, attributed the city's shutdown to the presence of gang members, right? A lot of people are saying they're covering this up too, like this is much worse than it actually is. At least 3 city council members have said they do not believe their city's own staffers for forcing people out of buildings. Aurora police have repeatedly pushed back against the claims of rogue gangs. Says, I don't think Venezuelan gangs are a big safety concern for Aurora. Chris Jewell, the acting deputy police, said earlier this month. Okay, well, looks like they've got 3 buildings, according to the mayor. So that guy done goofed on that statement. But coming soon to a city near you, because Kamala Harris and the Democrats have completely failed to secure the border. And we now have Karoline Leavitt, who's explaining this. She was appointed to handle the border. The media called her the border czar. Axios called her the border czar. She was responsible for the border, failed dramatically. And now they're trying to evaporate that memory.
Thanks so much for being with us. So how do you explain now that Vice President Harris is seen as perhaps the candidate of change?
Well, thank you so much for having me, John. And it is our goal over the next several weeks ahead of Election Day to ensure that voters understand Kamala Harris is not the candidate of change, nor is she the candidate of the future. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States right now, and she is wholly responsible for the failures over the past 4 years. Kamala Harris said she was proud of Bidenomics, which has ushered the worst inflation crisis in a generation. Kamala Harris was named the border czar and has allowed an open border policy of more than 11 million illegal people into our country that has caused a migrant crime epidemic across our nation as well. Kamala Harris does not deserve a promotion. She deserves a demotion. And unlike Kamala Harris, President Trump has a strong record in his first term as president where he secured the border, unleashed the might of our energy industry, ushered peace around this world. And that's our case to make to voters across the country.
There's more domestic energy production right now than there's ever been in U.S. history, and Kamala Harris was not the border czar. She was appointed to deal with the Northern Triangle. But let me ask you a follow-up to my initial question here. Even if what you say, taking your argument there, if the voters in all these states are seeing the vice president as the candidate of change, does it tell you that maybe they are beginning to see a Republican nominee who's 78 years old and been running for president for 9 years? Is that beginning to have an impact?
Well, just 2 things on your earlier points. Kamala Harris was named the border czar. She was appointed by Joe Biden in that position. And the truth is the border has been a complete disaster. Everyone recognizes that. And energy prices, gasoline prices are still 50% higher today under Kamala Harris than they were under President Trump. And if you look further and deeper into these polls, if you look at the issues that matter to voters, like immigration, like the economy, like foreign policy, where we've seen war erupt all over this world under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, voters trust Donald Trump on those issues. They trust him because he, again, has a first-term record to stand on. And you brought up Donald Trump's age, so I do want to mention it. Race is not about age, it's about competence. And President Trump has proven to be a leader who can bring stability back to this world, who can bring peace through this world, who can make America strong again. And that's why voters trust him on the issues that matter.
She was not appointed the border czar. She was appointed to deal with the Northern Triangle.
That's what Axios said there, CNN. She absolutely
You
was.
say Donald Trump is the candidate of stability.
Yeah, she was. They're so pathetic. They don't have anything from Kamala's record to point to. Her record is so bad that they actually have to delete stuff off of it. If you had a great record, a tremendous record, because you were a historic, competent, capable candidate who could actually talk, you had great values, good ideas, and a record of delivering solutions, you would talk about those things. They don't have it. Okay, so if she was not the border czar and she was in charge of the Northern Triangle, how'd she do? Did she stop Venezuela and Guatemala and all of these other countries in South America and Central America from immigrating? No, she failed at that too. So they're going to fight over the label, but the fact is the border is a disaster. And now Kamala's going to have to explain herself, and she's getting prepared for a debate. And the debate prep is being led by apparently a Google lawyer, Google's top lawyer. And there's a question about this lawyer's conflict of interest because they work for Google.
She helped prepare then Senator Harris in 2020 for her debate against then VP Mike Pence. Now the New York Times, Bloomberg, and Washington Post all report she's back helping the Harris campaign. One former DOJ official said to think of it this way: Kamala Harris is against monopolies, yet she's taking debate advice from the lead attorney for one of the largest in the country, Google. Here's the head of an agency that tracks ethics issues on both sides of the aisle. Watch.
It's problematic that Karen Dunn has the ability to potentially get the next president of the country on the phone at a moment's notice, and she might also be negotiating on behalf of Google with the Justice Department in a few months.
Now, Fox News reached out to the Harris campaign about Dunn's reported debate prep gig. We did not hear back. We also reached out to Karen Dunn directly, have yet to hear back. One attorney told me the only ethics hurdle would now be for Dunn to tell Google that she was advising Harris. Google goes to trial against the U.S. in just a few weeks, presenting just another question because that's when the debate's going to be happening. That's when the trial kicks off. It's expected, though, to last many weeks. Dan.
Yeah, remember, Google has all of those glitches that always seemingly are adversarial to President Trump. They always suddenly happen right when there is an assassination. Then you can't find anything about the assassination because that's going to make Trump look sympathetic, and that's bad for their side. So Kamala, responsible for the border, Venezuelan gangs taking over Colorado and other parts of the country, coming soon to a town near you. If Kamala wins, we're going to be here continuing to cover it, my friends. Thank you so much for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thank you so much for liking this video, for inviting a friend or family member to come over here and hang out with us when we go live. It's better when we do it together. You can tell them that, and we'll see you back here on the next one.